Today on V8 Extra, while the series remains in recess, we're still on tour. This week, the V8 Extra camper van pulls up at Jim Beam Racing on the Gold Coast. We'll tour this beautiful facility, complete with showroom, check out the engine shop, and catch up with drivers Stephen Johnson and James Moffat. And once again, the gang's all here to cheer their favourite team.
Nice to have your company again. Yes, welcome again to V8 Extra. Just like the sign says, Jim Beam Racing rocks V8 Extra. What a show we've got lined up today. We're at the home of Jim Beam Racing, Dick Johnson Racing, and this place has been a powerhouse of our sport for the last 3 decades. Today, we're going to catch up with Dick, with Stephen, and also with James Moffat, as you heard a few moments ago. Larko's on the loose. We'll be looking in and around the workshop. And as we go in and out of the breaks, we've got some wonderful stuff to show you about the history of this great race team. And we've got a loyal army of fans here today. G'day, folks. Welcome. This lot are bleeding heavy blue, I can tell you, so do not mention the H word around here at the moment. Time now to welcome my sidekick. Get those hands together for Mark Larko.
Hey, mate. Hey, how good is this? I feel very comfortable. Not a Holden badge in the house. Well done. Hey?
You feel right at home here, don't you,
mate,
at the moment? How's these guys? When you think about the history of our sport, 80 race wins, 55 pole positions, second only to the Holden racing team in terms of overall success. And I'll bet as a kid, this was your pin-up joint.
Absolutely serious, mate. It was. I round Griffith, flags out. Dick Johnson was my #1 man. Great. But what really gets me about this place, it's not just about the team, it's also about the special cars, you know, the Blue True Falcon, the Green Tough Falcon, the Little Red Sierra, which we might have a look at later in the show. Some icon cars in our sport.
Speaking of icons, time to roll one out. The bloke who owns the place. Welcome, Dick Johnson. You're getting V8 Extra frequent turn-up points. We're seeing you all the time. Saw you last week.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good. Nice to have you here, Dick. It's amazing what you've achieved. 7 championships, all those race wins and pole positions I mentioned a moment ago, and we were looking pre-show at some of the numbers. It's extraordinary what's been achieved here.
Look, I think it goes the fact that I've been here for so long. You know, you've got to do something over that number of years, and to have the support of all these sort of people over all those years is really special.
They're certainly vocal.
They are. DJ, just tell me, in all the years you've been in it, because and what I love about you, come out of the service station, you've done it yourself, you're a self-made man, you don't go around screaming about it. What are the big changes from then to now? I mean, the sport where it's at today is different. What's the big change?
When I first started, Larko, I used to drive my car to the racetrack, I'd race it, I'd put it back into road trim in those days, because I got booked many times for would you believe, creating undue noise by manner of operation.
Don't do that at home, kiddies.
And I used to drive to work the next day, so that's the way motor racing was then, and that was totally amateur thing. Now it's extremely professional.
It's very professional, and one guy who's doing a very professional job in 2011 is our next guest on V8 Extra. Put your hands together for Stephen Johnson. Hey, Stephen. How are you, mate?
Very well, very well.
12th season with this team. You're becoming a bit like us, a bit of a greybeard.
Yeah, I know, mate. Tell me about it. I've got no hope. Look at his hair. So,
You've had a great start to 2011. Been on the podium at Winton and also in Darwin. 8th in the championship, but it doesn't tell the true story, because you're not very many points away from being as far up as 3rd or better. Give me a self-analysis.
yeah, it's been, you know, we've had a pretty good year. It's, you know, as I think we both chatted about earlier in the season, with the 75 points we've copped so far, it would have put us certainly a lot closer to the top 3 anyway. You know, we slipped from 5th to 8th after Townsville, but, you know, it's very close, and I think, you know, with the Enduros coming up as well, we're in for a pretty good shot coming the end of the season.
Stevie, and I've got to take this opportunity to say down camera, I mean, really, these are a couple of, I mean, Dick's obvious, but Steve's another guy. We don't see enough of you. One of the ripper blokes on pit lane, and I mean that, mate. But let me ask you, this year, something's changed, and I don't know if it's Greg Wheely, a new engineer, the leadership role in the team. What's changed, mate? Because you're up there.
Yeah, you know, it's all about environment, Larko, in a team that have got 40-odd people here day in and day out, and to get the right mix of people and get the chemistry right together is a very hard thing. But we've got that now. Greg's done a great job. The start of the year wasn't ideal with the passing of Mark Wolfrey, and that took its toll on a lot of us for a lot of seasons. So, sorry, a lot of time at the start of the season. And we've got the ball rolling now. We didn't go as well in Townsville as what we would have liked, but we're going to bounce back hopefully.
Stay with us, boys. We're going to take a break on V8 Extra. We'll go to the break with Dick in the True Blue Falcon back in 1981 with our mate John French and that fantastic race win. And when we come back on the other side, we've got James Moffat and this bloke cuts loose to have a look at the engine shop. V8 Extra, stay with us.
The race must be declared.
Well, that means that Dick Johnson is the winner under those conditions.
John, we're all counting it down. We've got everything crossed for you. Dick, it is going to happen. You are going to win this one with JB. Here comes the crowd reaction to John Bowe driving the Dick Johnson Shell Sierra across the top of the mountain for the final time. You're the Two East champion for 89.
Unbelievable. Fancy doing that.
Welcome back to V8 Extra. Fantastic images then, way back in 1989 that was, with Dick Johnson and John Bowe in the Ford Sierra. We're going to have a look at a Ford Sierra in the not too distant future. Now it is time to welcome to the program a young guy who's been partnering this fellow very effectively in our new season. Please welcome James Moffat. Hello, James. Nice to have you with us. Well, I think you've done a great job in your first main game season thus far. What are your thoughts?
Look, it's been incredibly tough coming from the development series the last couple of years, but the Silver Fox here, he's been helping me out. He's been a good teammate so far, so we're looking second half of the year for some stronger results. Really looking forward to the Enduros and in the back half of the year.
Seen some really good qualifying and seen a bit of you in the mid to front section of the field rather than the other way around, so it's pointing in the right direction because it is always tough for guys out of the Jiu-Jitsu series to make it into the main game and make a presence felt.
Yeah, look, we had a bit of a tough start at Abu Dhabi, and race one at Clipsal wasn't ideal either, but a couple of top 10 qualifying results and a couple of top 10 race results so far, so we want to build on that in the second half of the year.
It's time now for Big Pond Email, and our question this week comes to us from Steve Matheson in Kalgoorlie, Western Australia. They're watching over in the west, and the question is, I hear this term dyno, what does it mean? More on that with Mark Larko.
I've wedged myself into the very inner sanctum of Dick Johnson Racing's engine shop here, which is actually managed by Roger Higgins and Steve Amos, who have set up Innovate Race Engines. Now, this is the actual engine building shop behind me. As you can see, it's beautiful, clinically clean, precision workshop. But what I really want to do today is jargon bust. I want to show you about engine dynos, a term that we use a lot in racing. What is it? Engine dynamometer. And what it is basically a device for measuring the output of an engine when the engine isn't in the race car. Now, why would you want one of these things? Well, in V8 supercar racing, you can do 6 test days a year. They are expensive, hard to come by, and you really need to be circulating in your race car. So to be spending engine time there is not smart. Most teams have them. Now, how this thing works, it roughly simulates what goes on in the race car. So you have all of these inputs the same as a race car. You have firstly air coming in, which is controlled, temperature and flow. So inside the air box, it's very much like the car going down there at 270 kilometres an hour and the air rushing in the front. They have to get that air input. The exhaust going out, that is an exact replica of the exhaust in the race car. Primary length, secondary length. There's fuel and oil, all comes in from auxiliary sources. There's your Motec dash up here as you have in the race car, so it really simulates that. How does it work? Well, it's all about this blue device here. We call it an engine brake. Very much like the brake on the front of your car, although it's done with water resistance. And there's a load cell. This thing moves around. There's a load cell here that measures that resistance, okay, and it sends that signal to the control room. Now that measures torque, there's a calculation done in the control room that turns that into horsepower. Now, current V8 supercar engine around about 630 horsepower, 475 kilowatts in modern speak. A bit too new for me. Now, forget all of that. I really want to hear this run because I can tell you, in 25 years of doing this sort of stuff, this still is one of the greatest sounds you're going to hear. I'm going to leave this camera, I'm going to get out of here. We'll have a look at it up close on that camera while it runs. Now let's dive into the control room. Stevie Amos here. Thanks, Steve, for doing this, mate. He's hit the button already. We're underway. Mate, give this thing full revs, pull power. I want to hear it scream. How good is that? When I die, you can lay me to rest in either Scafie's wallet, that's pretty well padded, or in that engine dyno room. That is just... I seriously just never get over the sound of it.
You love it in there, don't you, Larko? We're going to take a break on V8 Extra. When we come back, we'll wind the clock back and we'll have a look at a Ford Sierra. Stay with us.
A lot of young guys saying, when is Dick, Brocky,
When are they going to move over?
when are they going to move over? Why should they?
Never.
Look who's leading the race again.
What a reception. You can hear the roar from the crowd at the top of Mount Panorama.
John Bauer wins the 1994 Tui's 1000. Dick Johnson is absolutely jubilant, as you'd expect.
Look at this. Here comes Stephen in 17.
Long pit straight we go. A big lock up for Craig Lowndes. That will put Stephen Johnson in the race lead. And fights it again. Side by side up Mountain Straight. It's getting wetter and wetter now, and Lowndes goes past. And there will be contact.
How's that for a battle? This fellow, Stephen Johnson, getting stuck into it there with Craig Lowndes. Well, this is an absolute state-of-the-art, beautiful facility, really a game changer quite a few years ago when Dick first moved in here. It's got a showroom, which is great for the fans, and lurking out there at the moment, Mark Larkham, taking a look at the Sierra.
Now, back in 1992, I was actually fortunate enough to drive this car. Dick Johnson very kindly gave me a test up at Lakeside, one of the fastest tracks in the country, and I can tell you it was absolutely one of the highlights of my career. But I've got to say, of all the cars I've driven, and most drivers will tell you, this is hard to drive. Now, one of the reasons, when you look at it, it's actually very short in its wheelbase, and also it's very narrow in its track. And it's quite tall and squat, so it's got like a high centre of gravity, which is not really what you want in a race car. And aerodynamically, there's very little going on. I mean, we've got this great big set of rear wings and gurney flaps here that really, look, I can tell you, do very, very little. It's got a little bit of downforce because it's a bit like a flying brick. It's a bit of a square shape, so that actually helps it keep planted on the ground. Hey, but this really amazed me. When I open up the back, particularly in light of recent events, check this out. Here's 120 litres of fuel inside the cockpit. There is no firewall like we have today. I mean, thankfully, safety has come a long, long way. Now, if we dive around to the front of the car, I want to show you I guess the most important component of this car that made it so special. That's under here. This was this little 4-cylinder, 2-litre turbocharged engine. This thing packs a big punch for not a lot of engine. There's the turbocharger there. Now, this thing puts out around about 600 horsepower. But what was really groovy was there's a little dial on the... Oh, sorry, I shouldn't do that to the bonnet. There's a little dial on the dash where you could actually wind that boost up and get beyond 600 horsepower. Now, if we take into consideration that these tyres, front and rear, are only 9 inches wide, not 11 like we have now, to get that power out of that little rear wheel on this little squat car was one of the toughest challenges in motorsport at the time. Nice work, Larko. Amazing cars, boys. You're both
young guys with dads who've driven iconic cars in Australia. Have you ever, either of you, had the chance to drive them or hang around them, because they're very different to today's cars?
Yeah, I did, Neil. I got to drive the Sierra at Lakeside, and I think I was about 15, and I don't think I got it up even on boost, to be honest. So, and then I got to drive the Greens Tough car a few years back on the Gold Coast when Dad was there in the blue car, and I think he ended up breaking it, and he jumped into the green one. But I still don't know how he got that thing around Bathurst as fast as they went.
And I can remember you saying that to me too, James, about your dad. You know, I don't know how they did it. I've got more respect than ever. Yeah,
exactly right. I just recently did a thing for Motor Magazine at the start of the year, and I was just driving a standard, well, not a standard, but a road-going XY Phase 3 GTHO, and the first thing I did after I drove that, rang Dad and said, I thought you were crazy, now I know it.
You're a legend. All right. Well, one of the things that's really distinguished Dick Johnson from many other race drivers in this country is his ability to speak while driving a race car. We've gone back to the library. Have a look at some of this.
Here's our cheat here. Oh, Crompton, he loves this.
Wave to him as you go past.
Oh, he's doing a good job. Pity, I think they swept the floor and put that one together.
That's a nice pair of shades you're wearing, Dick. Very punkish.
Hey, mate, aren't they, as me 2 kids are here today and say, they're cool, Dad. They're real cool.
What is the definition of Winton?
Winton. It's like running a marathon round your clothesline.
We'll take a break on V8 Extra. We're back to wrap up in just a moment.
Race victory of his career. Signals a party for Dick Johnson Racing. You beauty. The first one of his career. James Courtney, a man who has won championships around the world. This is a homegrown win. Well done, James Courtney. A new V8 Supercar champion is crowned here at Sydney Olympic Park.
Welcome back to V8 Extra. What an amazing day that was in Sydney. James Courtney grabbing the championship in the 18 car that James Moffat's now driving, overcoming all that damage. And look, we've got the whole gang back here.
We have. DJ, got to ask you, you've been there, seen every race format known to man. The current one, fuel strategy, soft tyre, hard tyre, pit stops. What's your take?
It involves the whole team, and like, it's not any one thing wins races. It's a combination of everything, and if you get everything right, you win races.
How it should be.
Yep.
Stephen, a few years between drinks, you're coming into the portion of the season that you really love, these endurance races, particularly Bathurst. You've got to go back to Queensland 500 2001 for a victory. You've got very close this year on the podium. What are your thoughts? Can you grab the top spot sometime this year? Yeah,
Neil, I think we can. I think at the start of the year, a lot of people probably didn't think that we were going to be anywhere near the hunt for podiums. So to be up there, you know, week in, week out's been great. But I think with the endurance races coming, you know, we're knocking on the door. I think we're going to be pretty close. So let me ask you then, Stevie, both of you guys, you announced your co-drivers yet for Bathurst? Who are they? Yeah, we have, and you know, in Hash 17 we got Dave Bernard, who did a great job last year with Lee Holdsworth, and in Hash 18 we got Matt Halliday. So both of us, you know, we've got a pretty strong driver lineup, and I think the strongest we've had there in years. Yeah. One of the interesting things for me is the combination of surnames here, and James, as a Moffat, that puts a bit of pressure on you in some respects. So you join an icon and your teammate's an icon as well. Is it an asset for you, or is it a hindrance to put all that together and have that extra pressure as a young bloke? I think probably when I was first starting out in Formula Ford and Carrera Cup and those sorts of things, it was probably, I'll let the pressure or the expectation of the name get to me a bit more, but I think I've sort of settled into that a bit more, and you know, Steve's sort of been through everything that probably I've gone through coming up, so you know, there's certainly no pressure from Dad or anything like that in terms of It's an interesting results. Point, James, you raise here, because I work on pit lane, so I notice these things. Dick and both Alan, I notice you do stand back. I mean, you've got some good team management around you, and they let that flow, which is a conscious decision. It's a good thing, but as you know, James, it's a long gig to get there. It's a hard way into V8 supercars. Carrera Cup, Formula Ford,
right route though.
Yeah, it's funny. Dad was at Clipsal this year, and he went down one of the practice sessions and watched from the chicane there, turn 1, and he come back. He said, "Oh, you're going through there the best of anybody."
Can you do the Canadian accent?
I said, "Well, why am I 21st in practice? You know, I can't be going through there that well." So.
Hey guys, here's something. I know you're going to love this. Ford fans are going to love this one. It's the DJR 30-year anniversary book. Taken a while to put this one together, DJ?
Yeah, like 30 years.
Yeah,
mate.
imagine that, 30 years, there it is. So details up online. It's a beautiful book. There's some great stories and some great images in there.
Right, no, he's going to love that. You're right.
No. Boys, thank you very much for hosting us today. It's been a great pleasure to come here. Folks, have you enjoyed yourself? Yeah. Put the book down, put the book down. Thank you, Larko.
Mate, I've had a ball here today. I love it down here.
And you'll love this, being a farmer, because these blokes are backed by the Norman Hotel, which is Brisbane's worst vegetarian restaurant. So we're going to bolt out the back in a minute and eat more beef. We're going to disappear now on V8 Extra and plugging the fact that our next event is the Coates Hire Ipswich 300. It's our 8th event of the championship season. 3 races this year. We've got 2 races on the Saturday, 70k's each, and then the 200k's on Sunday. You can see details up on screen there at the moment. Our next V8 Extra is the big preview to that event. That's it from Jim Beam Racing. We'll look forward to you coming in next week. Bye for now.